So guys, this video is called JAGEX Needs to Be Careful, New Skill, Concerns and Ideas. It's by Kez TV. Just under 1,000 subscribers, 21k views 5 days ago. So that's actually pretty good. I love talking about the new skill topic. I think it's a very hot topic and something that should be covered, especially by someone by me, because I happen to have what is called a brain and I know how to use it, as opposed to, I'm going to be honest, a large majority of the content creators out there who are giving dog water ideas. So, without further ado, let me know how the volume is going. I can turn it up. It's normally a lot louder on my end than it is yours. And then we will have a look at, this video. Let me know if you need me to turn the volume up.
Closing of the first community consultation polls, it's becoming more likely that we are on the path towards a new skill in old school.
Actually, let me go fill up my drink real quick. Give me a sec. Gotta get some more Jack Daniels up this bitch. Gentleman Jack, 2 shots of vodka. Mic check. Oh, my noise gate's kind of cutting it out, sorry. You can just trust me. Alright. Let's have a look.
With the closing of the first community consultation polls, it's becoming more likely that we are on the path towards a new skill in old school. As someone who's been watching the conversations on Reddit, YouTube, and Twitch, I thought I would throw in my 2 cents and contribute to the conversation as well. It seems to me that so far, a lot of the consensus seems to be that there should be a new skill, some of which is only for the sake of there being a new skill.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem, I think, that a lot of people aren't I say it a lot, I don't think a lot of people are thinking about the new skill idea in general. By the way, I need to learn Hello Sevika at some point. I need someone here to teach me. It's your birthday too? Well, I didn't ask, but HB. So, I think... I actually don't know. I don't know how many people are actually wanting a new skill for the sake of a new skill, but I think it does need to be thought about or like considered very carefully, because it's it can, if we go wrong, if we get the new skill wrong, there's no going back. You know, you can't exactly roll back a skill after even a 3-month period of it being in the game. The economy will just will collapse. The game, it's not happening. It's not possible. You will ruin the game. So I don't think it'll get to the point where it could make or break the game. I think there's potential for it, but I don't think we as a community, nor JAGEX or the old school development team as a development team, would allow such a skill that would ruin the game. I feel like there's going to be a lot of beta testing. I don't think we're going to see a new skill in the game for a good 12 to 24 months still, at least, because I think there's going to be a lot of revising and people just wanting to perfect this skill. But I think we just also have to consider when is the right time to put it into the game.
I think a lot of this comes from the idea that RuneScape, as it is in the original game, thrived on the release of new skills. I think a lot of people might be getting nostalgia trapped here though, reminiscing on the day that they woke up to find farming, hunter, or construction as an update to the game. No doubt that this was a fun era of the original game, and it's part of the reason that 2007 was selected as the old school target year. However,
yeah, so before he continues, nostalgia is a big part of the game, at least it was when it first came out. I think we can all agree nostalgia is a big problem in gaming in general. I mean, how many people here in the chat have played the Crash Bandicoot or Spyro re-releases? I don't know if the Final Fantasy VII remix counts, or remaster counts, because it's a different story, but how many remastered games have you guys played, and how many of them are you playing today? Are you still playing Dark Souls 1 when it was remastered, or did you play it once and leave it? Look at classic WoW as well, for example. Like, they just re-released it and then re-released the exact same content. Summoning was shit, dungeoneering was shit. We're not really talking about the subject of those skills at the moment, but I think them being shit and them being not acceptable for old school RuneScape are 2 different views to have as well. Whether you think the skill was shit or not, if it worked for old school RuneScape, it should be considered. But in the case of those 2 skills, absolutely not worth it. But yeah, I think nostalgia, I don't know how many people actually are doing it just because it's nostalgic, but I think it's definitely clouding a lot of people's judgments for the game, for sure. Can you stop saying this game theory shit, dude? Like, are you fucking on one today? Are you alright?
However, I don't think that this is a good enough reason on its own to be adding a skill to old school. I think that the other part of the general consensus is that if a skill is added, that it must fit old school, but no one has been able to identify what fit is in this case.
Yep, I know I keep pausing the video and talking about it, but that's the point here. What does it mean by fit old school? What does it mean to... What do you mean by you want the skill to be old school? This game isn't really old school. It's just called Old School RuneScape. That's just the name of the game at this point. It's a rebooted game from 2007 that has been built and developed into something else. I think it is moronic and narrow-minded to still consider this game old school in any way. It is its own version of RuneScape. It's its own better version of RuneScape. So I don't think there should be anything locked to it being has to stay old school, because we have raids. We have more than just the Champions, Heroes, and Legends Guild. We have numerous different ways to do content. We have Iron Man game modes. We have Iron Man. We have, I think they were trying to do more account builds, which is, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Apparently everyone's memeing JAGEX for that. But we have so much more content. We have Fossil Island. We have the content on Fossil Island. We have so many different bosses, you know? Slayer bosses, the way construction works now. We have mini games like Wintertod and Tempros and Guardians of the Rift. This is a different game. This is a different time. Dude saying it's old school while playing Sepulchre. No, he wasn't saying, oh, it's old school. He was just like referencing some of the views people are having when they're discussing the skill and how they want the skill to be. He was talking not from his own perspective, if that makes sense. Thank God OSRS is how it is now. Oh, this game is brilliant. This game is amazing. I love Old School RuneScape, as I'm sure we all do, which is why we want the skill to be perfect. Ironically, I'd argue that Sepulchre is so different from RS 2007, it almost makes it a new game itself. Yeah, like content like this is exactly the point, you know? I think, I don't know, I think the further we go into developing a new skill, the less people are trying to hold on to nostalgic content. Especially with some of the things hosted in the survey. I really like some of the skill ideas. I should go through and read them one day.
And it might be what JAGEX is trying to get at with this most recent set of polls. Now, before we go further, to get at by what fit is in this case. And it might be what JAGEX is trying to get at with this most recent set of polls.
Yeah, that's something I noticed too. So JAGEX is trying to find the balance between keeping the game old school for people who want it to be old school, and then they're also stating that they don't really want to bring... I remember they said, for some reason they put summoning in the survey, right? But they also said before the survey, I'm pretty sure they said that they don't want to take something from RS3, so don't expect divination, summoning, dungeoneering, invention, something like that. So I think they're just trying to find a balance, but I think like staying away from the ideas of RS3 is the smartest thing to do, because everyone goes, oh, I want summoning. You're not going to get the RS3 summoning. You're not going to get the summoning from 2008. You're going to get completely different summoning. The only thing they're going to have in common is the name and maybe the icon in the stats bar at the end of the day. Remember before the GE came out, it was pretty cool before that too. Before the GE came out in Old School RuneScape even. The development had been nothing to complain about so far, but something like this could change the point. Yes, for sure. I hope they bring the evolution of combat back. The only thing left that is truly old school is the default graphics, and that isn't 100% true. I would say, yeah, and just I guess the way combat works, it still works on basic, you know, on a basic tick process, 4 tick weapons, 5 tick weapons, and you're just doing damage. You're not doing anything else special really. I think the level of skill for the player base has changed and made the game less old school more than the game has become less old school. I think players are just better at the game. You have smarter people playing. You have more committed people playing. You have people playing RuneScape full time for a job, like me. You know, I did the Inferno on my first ever attempt and got the cape, then went back on a side task and got another cape. 2 attempts, I've never failed the Inferno. You have levels of skill like me that just can't be matched. You wouldn't see that back in 2007. So, you know, I think that's also something to consider. The players aren't old school. OSRS would never have been invented if they didn't update OSRS. Well, if you didn't update OSRS, then what would be the point of bringing the game back, you know?
Now, before we go further, I will admit up front that I am one of the few people that has been largely opposed to a new skill coming to the game.
It's fair. You can be.
Not because I wouldn't want one, but rather because the risk-reward ratio seems to be too high on the risk side of things for me to feel as though it will be good for the game.
I can agree with that.
The game is in a very good place right now, give or take the frequency of large content updates, which admittedly has improved since Raids 3, at least in my opinion.
Yep.
So, trying to see without nostalgia goggles for the moment, I will now present some ideas to contribute to the conversation, as well as ideas for successful implementation on a new skill. And I will also try to highlight positives that could come from a new skill being added, at least from my perspective as a critic of the idea overall. To begin, there was a reason that 2007 was selected as the time period that Old School will be based on. I'm not sure if this reason is a distinct idea, or if it is more of an ambiguous collective factors. Although I do know
it was, I believe it was voted on. I think I remember voting on, we were given specific eras on when we wanted the game to be reverted back to. There was a choice of 2009, 2007, I think 2005. I believe there were different eras, and 2007 was the one that won, and it was just before the release of God Wars and Grand Exchange, but they could be implemented in the future. I believe that's how it worked. It was a community poll. Everything has really been polled. Up until like recently, everything about this game, from it being suggested as coming, like being created, to now has been polled. Can you not skip past the ad? What ad? This isn't an advert, this is me, Cora. What up? I think the biggest divide OSRS versus 2007 are the mechanics, both in bosses, minigames, and skilling. Yep, 100%. I wonder if they keep any backups of OSRS. They do, that's how they got this game. They keep backups of OSRS. Jeez, Cara. They have backups, that's how they did it. They did a backup save. I don't agree, okay? Arguably, raids, new bosses, or new skilling minigames can be even more impactful than a new skill. I agree, yep. I think... Oh, dude. Sorry, guys. Fergus just pulled Dragon Limbs on the group Iron Team. Let's fucking go. Yes. New best in slot crossbow for the boys. Well, we've got Dragon Hunter crossbow. That's still huge. I love that. Fuck yeah, thank you. Anyways, I think while the skill can really make or break the game, it has to be really poorly done to break the game. I think it can fail, but it won't ruin the game at the same time. But a raid can just as well do that. I mean, even just like a casual update can do that. How many times have they had to roll back now? Remember the release of League 3 where everyone had to roll back? Or when that T-Bow was spawning outside of Farming Guild? Things like that can ruin the game very quickly. It can ruin the economy if they don't get it right. There's no way you're 34? Mate, we're talking about a video right now. We can discuss my age later. But yeah, it just looked really good for my age. He keeps saying 07 was selected, which is wrong. This is why the earliest backup they could find. I'm pretty sure... it was voted on. I'm pretty sure they had a 2005 save too. I could be wrong. I'm 99% sure that we, as a community, were able to vote on how far back we wanted to go based on what saves they had. And I think they had something older than 2007, and they had something newer than 2007. I'm pretty sure it was. I mean, it was over 10 years ago now, so I could be wrong. Well, nearly 10 years ago now. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure there was multiple options. But I know that 2007 won the vote. I'm 90% sure we voted on it. Thank you for the happy birthday, Cora. The biggest nightmare is a skill with no game integration like dungeoneering. If dungeoneering came to old school RuneScape, what are you going to do with raids? Do raids become a part of dungeoneering? Because it's the same concept. Otherwise, you're just going to have mini raids and it's going to be boring, or it's going to be competing with raids. So let's say you do bring dungeoneering into the game, and raids become a part of dungeoneering. What about the people with 100, 200, 2,000 KC in raids? Does that just go out the window and now it starts from when the skill comes out to when you can start leveling dungeoneering? Or do people with 2,000 raids get compensation for that with their skill for the time they spent already raiding? Because these people are going to be burnt, they finished a collection log, they're not going to want to do Theatre of Blood another 2,000 times to max this skill. It's not going to work. Gauntlet's close enough to dungeoneering. Chambers of Xeric and TOA are closer to dungeoneering than Gauntlet ever will be, but yes. Do you think gaming will hit a singularity of something like 5 genres of different games where other developers can't compete? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Because there was a different weapon. there was different weapons, wasn't there? I don't know. I really don't know, man. Blue, thank you for the 16 months. Imagine if you needed level 60 or something hard to do 2 out top. Exactly, but you've got 2,000 KC, then what? So it would never work. Dungeoneering is not happening. It will not
Getting
work.
it fucking done. Like a Chad.
Sorry for how loud that is. Is the video volume at loud?
That after this period of time, the game took a turn for the worst and then never fully recovered. In late 2007 and early 2008, we would see the updates that inevitably removed free trade and the wilderness from the game, and we would also see summoning being released. It wasn't until 2012 that we would then see the Evolution of Combat update that I think takes the majority of the blame.
Oh, Evolution of Combat, those were the days. I will never forget when Evolution of Combat came through. I didn't know it was happening. I was playing. I remember I was in Alcarid. Okay, I was in Alcarid, the update was happening. I logged out, updated, logged in. I was like, damn, the whole game looks so different. Logged into the game, and I had an offhand dragon skimmy and a main hand one. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was in Alcarid Bank, I put them both on, I went around, I was like, damn, I'm playing Diablo 3 right now, let's go. And then I stopped playing. Not because I didn't like Evolution of Combat, I was kind of burning out on RuneScape anyway, and I think the whole Evolution of Combat just took it away from me, to be honest. Can we just admire how shit this guy is at Sepulchre? Hey, he's learning, he's only done 34 floor 3, he's probably better than me. But yeah, come on, man, you've got to skip the flames and run out of the way of the blades, don't run into him.
What killed RS3? Again, I'm inclined to absolutely agree here. EOC was a terrible idea made with poor game design in mind.
That's why they removed it.
However, the other major updates I mentioned, and likely other ones that are less known, contributed to reducing the fit and feel of what made RuneScape RuneScape. The loss and longing of that fit and feel was inevitably what fueled the desire for old school. I think that most people likely would be inclined to agree that the free trade and wildy removal were detrimental to the game. But
I agree with that. I think a lot of things definitely drove a lot of players away, like the wilderness and the free trade stuff. But I think also what you have to remember is other MMO games at that time, like I mean, you had like shooters like Modern Warfare 2 and stuff around, or maybe just before that. Maybe it was Black Ops after that. I can't remember. But what you have to remember is other MMOs at the time, like World of Warcraft, were like in their peak. They were in their prime. So there was a lot of competition for MMOs, and RuneScape just couldn't keep up with the constant L's it was taking, right? So it was so easy to go back or go to a different MMO. If you wanted to play a game, EOC came out, you said, I may as well go play WoW, and you play WoW. MapleStory, you know, you had so many other options. In today's age, WoW's been taking L's after L's up until recently, and Old School RuneScape, I think, also came back at the perfect time where MMOs were kind of dying off again, Battle Royales have come in, and Old School RuneScape's just been on the rise ever since, because, like, look at RuneScape 3. RuneScape 3 is not doing too bad either. That's on the rise. It's still in, like, the top 10 of MMORPGs, like, currently active. RuneScape 3 is still up there. Old School RuneScape's ahead, of course, but I just think the MMORPG genre in general, as a genre, was really lacking, and it just wasn't a good time. So, like, there was less options when Old School RuneScape came out, and people were like, yeah, RuneScape used to be sick back in the day, let's go back, and it was just perfectly timed, I think.
Some might disagree with me on summoning. That's fine, but hear me out. Summoning was a skill that fundamentally changed the way that the game was played.
Yes.
Not only that, but it was a skill that you spent most of your time not doing the skill itself in order to train the skill. To truly be playing the core game at that point, you had to be training summoning in order to keep up with the rest of players. Even to be doing other skills, you had to train summoning to get the most out of training those other skills. At the very least, it felt as though they made things interconnected in an unhealthy way. And this was probably one of the first signs that JAGEX had adopted a poor game design mentality. Now, I know that summoning isn't on the table currently, but if JAGEX were to release any skill in Old School that fundamentally changed the way the game is played, it has the risk of starting to send Old School into that same sort of downward spiral that RS3 went in.
I think almost every skill does, except maybe even invention. I'd say only archaeology from RS3 really could work in today's game. I mean, divination. I mean, what the hell is even that? Like, does anyone know how divination works? You just collect orbs and put them in your pocket, and then you get more mining XP, or you can mine like at the bank or something. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Summoning, summoning really, to me, I wasn't a big fan of summoning, and it won't work in old school RuneScape. It worked, I think, for a while back in the day, but in this game, we have too many different ways to have extra storage and extra damage and assistance in combat and skilling that we don't really need summoning. You don't need someone following you. And honestly, I think the idea of having pets like this boy, Callisto Carb, I think that is... Summoning would ruin how much fun it is to have a pet behind you, and I think that is enough. That might be a terrible argument, a bad take in some people's eyes, but I'm telling you right now, it is cool having a pet. It is hype getting a pet drop, and I love having my favorite pet follow me around. And I think summoning would genuinely ruin that for a lot of people in the game, just because there's too much shit. I don't think you can disclose that. Summoning just increases inventory space for the most part, but no, you've also got rune pouches, upgraded rune pouches. You've got looting bags in the wilderness. You've got herb sacks. You've got seed boxes. You've got coal bags, gem bags. You've got different ways to increase your inventory space depending on the content you're doing, rather than just having some fat cunt behind you with a whole extra inventory. That way, it's not overpowered. It's not too broken, and you can't cheese content like Theatre of Blood to have just an extra 28 brews in the back, you know? Soul Bearer, that's it, you know? Even things like the Bone Crusher to crush your bones for you, that's still like an assistance, you know? You have Thralls to summon from the Arceus spellbook. So having, like, you basically got summoning spread out across the game for the most part, which I think is really good and a better way to go about it. There was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. What if you did Halo Sepulchre on top of his video of him doing Halo Sepulchre? I don't know how to do Halo Sepulchre, so I'd rather not, because you guys would start criticizing me.
This is one of my biggest fears about a new skill, especially when seeing that the recent poll got about 20% of players voting for a new combat skill to come to the game.
Sorry, man, I'm pausing this so much, but this is a good video. You know, he's bringing up a lot of good points. Yeah, let me pull that shit up real quick. Guys, did you see that? That blew my mind. I think that's kind of concerning, if I'm honest with you. This is a concern right here. What type of new skill would you most like to see OSRS team pitch? The fact that the second highest one at 21.9% was combat is bad. This is bad, guys. We have a combat triangle. Mage, melee, range. Every game has a combat triangle. Don't make it a square, okay? You don't want to mess with the combat level. You don't want to impact combat in any way. Combat in this game is perfectly fine and is quite well skill-based, PvP and PvM-wise. Combat is anything in this game that works. Magic could do with a bit more love, but combat works in this game better than any of the other categories. There's not a single terrible combat skill. Obby Capers shouldn't be allowed to vote. I agree. Obby Capers should not be allowed to vote. But I don't think there is anything wrong with the combat system in this game. There's obviously things that could be improved, but I think combat is perfect. That is disgusting. 30,366 delusional fuckwits. I think if you voted no or skip question on the new skill poll, you shouldn't be able to vote for further content for the poll. Maybe skip question, but not no. If you voted no, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. I think you should just be out. Like you can't vote for further skill polls. Mostly because I just want to watch the world burn. But I think if you voted no, why should you have an input on... I mean, it's like some people do change their minds, but there's also a mentality of people... There's only like 700 people, so who cares, right? I voted combat, to be honest. I don't want the update. So that just doesn't make sense. Why don't you just not vote? Gonna attempt Nightmare for the first time. Good luck. See you later, Cora. Anyways, we can go back to his video. My apologies. Skew results make it less likely. Yeah. Saying Obby Capers shouldn't be allowed to vote is like us saying Fire Capers shouldn't, but then we'd be called elitists. No, Fire Capers are cool. I just think Obby Capers for the meme. That's really it. Because Obby Capers are people who just haven't played the game yet, I guess. Why not? Just for fun.
It seems as though many people are not thinking about the game in this big picture fashion. The game is not equipped to deal with a skill that fundamentally changes the way that the game is played.
Nope.
If it did have this, I think the spirit of old school goes out the window, as the fit would be incredibly off. Another area I've seen people suggesting things in is in mounts or some other new system of movement. This would again fall into fundamentally changing the way that the game is played.
So, the people that want mounts, or like you said, changing the way movement works, are people who don't understand how movement works in this game. Okay, I'll give you another example, alright? This is how movement works in this game, okay? You got run turned on, alright? You move one square at a time, you're walking. You're not using any run energy, even with run turned on. You're just bing chilling, okay? One tick, one square at a time. You start running. This is, I'll tell you what, I'll turn True Tile Indicator on because a lot of people are like, True Tile Indicator lets me know if I'm lagging. Wrong. True Tile Indicator lets you know that you're a fuckwit, okay? What is True Tile Indicator? What's it under? True Tile? Tile indicators. Okay. Current tile? Okay. So this isn't, oh, I'm lagging my true tile. This is called running. And the animation, okay, is behind where you really are. This isn't lag. Okay? You move 2 squares at a time when running. So tell me, what do you mean debatable? How is mounts going to work? What, you want to move 3 squares at a time? 4 squares at a time? What are mounts going to do for you? You're going to start flying over trees and shit? What is a mount going to do for you? Okay? It's simple. 1 square, 2 square. You want to start moving 3 squares at a time, you're going to change the whole dynamic of the game. Flinching. I mean, you're just going to have to go back an extra tile and confuse a lot of people. But it is unnecessary and pointless. Higher run energy? Yes, but counter argument, stamina potions. Next. The new combat skill, guns. Bring your favorite 9mm to next and put a cap in her ass, pretty much. It's the best way to do it. So the whole idea of mounts is really just people, like, not thinking. It is really just not, like, you're not using your brain. Let's go, Bird's Nest. That's the reality of the situation. Spirit Seed too, Pog. It's true. Not to mention that we have teleports almost every square inch of the game. Exactly. Fly to cities, teleport. What they should do, if you really have a problem with stamina, what they should do is rework the agility skill so that stamina is only drained when you're in combat or certain minigames and instances such as raids, inside of God Wars, in Blast Furnace, where stamina potions are used, but you shouldn't have to consume run energy from running when you're running from like Lumbridge to Barrow, or running rooftops, or doing like agility pyramid. Like, it shouldn't consume run energy. You should just be able to do it. But when you're inside raids, when you're in combat, in the wilderness, when you're in God Wars or like Blast Furnace, or anywhere that consumes, that requires you to run and actively use stamina potions, then run energy acts normally, because I think that would be a great way to balance out how dated run energy is in this game and still keep stamina potions relevant. Why on earth would OSRS need mounts? You can teleport everywhere. Exactly. Do you remember the hand cannon weapon? I do. It used to blow up. I'm pretty sure it used to blow up and fuck you if like you didn't look after it.
Frankly, it might make old school completely unrecognizable. So when I'm talking about fundamental ways the game is played, I'm thinking about the systems like combat, movement, food and potion consumption, and prayers.
Yeah.
A good way to measure this
I
is
guess so.
the average player should be able to log in and do Slayer or bossing without noticing a difference if they were unaware of a new skill. And the same goes for PKers. At the same time, those that want it should not be bored by this new skill. There might be something to be said about the top 1% of players also seeing slightly faster world record kill times because of this benefit, or maybe slightly higher EHP.
Yeah, but you're going to get faster kill times and EHP just by letting updates happen. Like, what's going to happen when we get God Wars Dungeon 2 or Desert Treasure 2? You're going to get, like the Void Waker itself is now, like, better for Sony Nightmare on the final phase. You can two-hit her more effectively than the Dragon Claws. You can use it in some really decent places and get some good damage out. Like, it changes with almost any update. So it shouldn't matter.
But that is not where the game should be designed. I think that for it to be successful, a new skill must have a strong old school fit, and most importantly, it should identify a hole in the current game that can be filled without that fundamental gameplay change. I think a great example of identifying a hole and filling it with a solution that had strong fit was with the release of Zaya and the reputation or favor system for the
because we know how Zaya went on release. That was a great success, wasn't it? Everyone was loving Zaya. Thank you for the reputation system there. That was, yeah, thank you. All I want in game right now is to be able to have a private instance motherload mine, even if I have to pay for it. That'd be pretty cool. Drives the need for membership more than you think. What? Run energy? I don't think many people are going, I need to be a member because I need run energy. Because, to be honest, until you're a member, you don't understand how crucial run energy is. Like, you have like fucking 3% of the map available to you. You could be right, but I doubt there's a single person out there going, yeah, I need stamina pods. Gotta go member. How about a PK skill that's not connected to max cape and XP according to the player's gear to take down? A PK skill is a bad idea because about 10 or 11% of the player base actively enjoys PKing. PKing is also it's not something people want. Like, we know this automatically. Like, what is a PK skill going to do? How are you going to level this PK skill? By killing other players? What's going to stop you from just killing other people by paying for it, or killing your friends, or getting an alt account and killing it for XP? How are you going to level the skill based on how quickly you can switch and one hit people? And what does leveling it do? What are you able to get out of it, you know? What a PK skill isn't going to encourage people to PK. People will just ignore it. That's not how you fix PKing. It really isn't, because like that means if you want to go PKing and you're versing someone with level 99, they're either going to have an advantage over you because you're level 10 and they're level 99. You're never going to be able to kill them, or the PKing skill is pointless and does absolutely nothing based on its level, and therefore doesn't make sense to have in the game, because what's the point in leveling it if your level 99 can get smacked out by a level 10 PK? So it doesn't really make sense. If your aim is to encourage people to PK in the game, it is not with a new skill that's around PKing. I don't know if Void Waker will get a nerf. It might, but I think it's pretty well balanced outside of the wilderness, at least. I felt like the player work was disrespectful to our time. I don't know what the player work is. JAGEX talked about removing that reputation system not too long ago. It's not a bad shout. It's kind of shit. We already have wildy perks via diary, so I don't know what the benefits of a skill would be. Yeah, I'm not sure either. It depends how you want to build it, but I don't think having a PK skill is in any way a smart idea.
Different houses. Well, the core
What do you mean, because you never have to deal with it? I have to deal with the Void Waker. Were you not here at the start of the stream? Someone came in and used a Void Waker on me. I used it back. You know what he did? He froze me, hid behind a tree, bowed and logged out. And then someone else entered the RTO cave on me. Okay? You know what happened? RTO threw a mage ball at him. He got hit. I Void Wakered the cunt twice. He died. I've had to deal with the Void Waker. I've also used it to claim plenty of money off of my group plan to kill on my main to get my money out of it. Trust me, I've had to deal with it, and I've used it. I know what's going on. You anti-PK 38 mil RTO, nice. Yeah, I anti-PK 3 mil the other day, value on it was awesome.
Aspects of some of those grinds are absolutely terrible. I'm looking at you, sulfur mining. The new type of system that was added was interesting, rewarding, and was not something that you fundamentally had to interact with to play the core game. Other great examples have been Hallowed Sepulchre, Guardians of the Rift, and Giant's Foundry, although these are really just expanded on skills in a way that make them more immersive.
One item, Dylan.
I think a good example of a suggestion for a new skill has been the inscription skill.
So I liked the inscription skill. I liked the inscription skill, and I liked the engineering skill. If you haven't seen it, you can go to, I believe you can go to the poll system still. If you go to view history, you go to the latest poll, and you go to the survey, I think you can actually see it in there. I could be wrong. If not, it should be on Reddit. I might even link it at the bottom of this video when I upload it, if I can be bothered. If I don't, just don't take it personally. It's good business. Inscription was great because I believe it was around... I read it very briefly, but it was enough for me to go, nice. The main fundamental to take away from it was that you could note items outside of like the bank as you're looting, which I thought was cool. That was enough for me to go, I like that idea. How it's going to work, I haven't read the whole system yet. The whole skill pitch, but I think it's good. I'm going to actually go through and read it at one point. And the other one is engineering, which was like having... one of the key parts I liked about engineering was having a bot, your own bot, that would alch stuff for you, or smelt ore for you. While you go do stuff, he'll just passively smelt ores for you in the distance. Now, you'll probably get reduced XP, and it will take longer than normal for you than you normally smelting bars, but... after like a week, you'll have like, you know, a couple thousand mithril bars done, and then you can go smith them or get the bot to smith them. You know, you can have your own little boy working for you in the background. I think that would be good, provided it is balanced to the point that it is always more efficient and more effective to do it yourself. Like, it has to really be, like, super AFK escape if you want other shit doing it, you know? Bot that watches my herbs. No, you can just watch your herbs by using Runelight. So I think something like that would be good. The PVMers have always been able to fight back. No run energy, not Void Waker. I don't know what you mean exactly. PVMers now have a way to fight back, and PKs that suck at the game get toxic tears all over. Yeah, so PKs, there's a difference between PKs and PvPers. PvPers are good at PvP and want to fight other players. PKs are just idiots trying to rag people because they think they can do it now, and then you just pull out the Void Waker and they shit themselves. Like, that's really it, to be honest. What if someone rocks up? If someone tries to PK you in either Void or Mystic, there's a high chance they don't know what they're doing, and all you have to do is pull out the Ballista and fire a Dragon Javelin at them. They will shit themselves and run. If they're wearing Barrows gear, you're probably... I mean, I was fighting some guy earlier in Barrows while I was wearing Mystic, and that's the guy that that logged out on me. But often, if it's Void or Mystic and Dehyde and shit, just pull out the Ballista or the AGS, start switching your praise, and just dump a couple specs and fire Dragon Javelins at them. They 9 times out of 10 will shit themselves, especially if you teleblock them. If you teleblock them, they're like, nah. Because their excuse is to teleport out if they're going to die. Teleblock them, they're going to try gap you and log out. 99% of the time it happens. You can bundle Dead and Butler in your house? Yeah, exactly. What I mean is we have RNG that... Oh, you're talking about still PKing? Yeah, sorry. I'm going to try to focus more on the video, sorry, than PKing. My bad. Inscription is basically like having a farm gnome walking around with you. That's pretty cool. That'd be a tough one because it would change the economy. The way that bots... if you had your own engineering bot, it would just have to be super, like... It would have to be inefficient to use engineering, but also worth it. It would have to be worth the money, but it would have to always be better to do it without the bot. But there could be periods where, like, you could boost it so that your bot does it just as efficiently as you possibly could for max XP per hour for a brief period of time. Like, it could work the same system, so you got, you know, hey, if you're farming good, you got that patch for, like, the ISOR seed and the Atos seed or whatever. Like, you could have a different mechanic working in-game to help your engineering bot work faster for a 12-hour period or something like that. There's many ways you can take it. I thought that idea was really cool. 2PAKs have tried to get me doing a master yesterday, but the one that stayed on me to get me didn't have the agility level to cross the steps south. Yeah, it's awesome doing that, hey? Why can't you cast Telly Other on items, like Telly Other PH or on drops, Demon Butler, Banks? Because it's just going to teleport to the fucking Camelot castle floor.
Post in the description below. In its proposal, this skill has the ability to be an item sink, something that the game is currently lacking, but also it adds a new system of content that could provide interesting and rewarding items to the game, but it does not strike me as something that someone would have to absolutely interact with to play the core game to its capacity. It was also not half-assed in the way that warding was. I think that it still echoes warding though a bit and could use some more fleshing out, in order to not end up just being able to be collapsed into other skills in the same way that warding was. Another popular one, maybe a meme at this point, has been sailing. Now personally...
No, sailing is bad. Before he gets into it, because he's probably going to say the same thing as me, because this guy sounds like a smart individual, sailing is a bad idea. As a skill. It's a great idea as content. I would love to see sailing in the game one day. I think it'd be awesome. Even if it was like a new raid. Sailing is a good idea. Bad skill. It's not sailing is bad. Sailing is bad skill. Good concept, bad skill. Let's get that straight. Okay? All sailing needs is one of these. If sailing has one of these, okay? Or even one of these, bring it on board. If sailing has one of these, in the bin. 100%. Doesn't have to be a raid. It could just be like another way to, another concept to the game, you know? Where the fuck did my... What? There. Just another way to do shit in game. It's not a skill. Everything but a skill. Do you have an iron account? I have a group Iron Man account, which I'm woodcutting on right now because I'm nearly 88 woodcutting, so I figured I'd do that while I go through this video. I just think of raids on RS3 going for Yucca or whatever. I don't know about raids on RS3. I can't believe so many respected OSRS creators back in sailing, or because Bodhi wanted it. Dumbest moments in OSRS history. Yeah, I think Bodhi's take on sailing was it's a pretty big L. And I think a lot of content creators I've seen talking about this new skill have been very narrow-minded and not it's the same when it comes to like the wilderness updates before the Woody rework was done. Like most of the PvPers and PKs just wanted what was best for them and the way they play the game and their own mindset. It was a very selfish take. It's not their fault. They just don't understand game development. I mean, I don't either, but I understand. I guess common sense. So a lot of people in this game, when they suggest things, they think more about how they play the game and what they want more than what they think is decent for the game. When sailing was introduced, Bodhi was PK based, I believe, but his following was very massive. The Oma series effect. I don't know what that means. We need another pirate quest that unlocks the ship-to-ship combat minigame. No, we don't. Need is a strong word.
I don't really fancy
I would like another pirate quest rather than we need.
Sailing as a core aspect of the game. It might be an interesting one if done correctly, but I could also just go play Sea of Thieves. That's sarcasm. A more interesting skill might be something like exploration, that can have an element of sailing as a component of the skill, but also offers much more. It could be integrated into the current game fairly seamlessly, and allow for new content updates with new areas entirely. It would open a doorway to help new players explore.
I don't want to sound like a broken record because I do this every time I do a review on new skills. So everyone goes, exploration, sailing. I've said it a million times. No, like I said like 2 minutes ago, make it its own concept, not its own game, because you're going to have a problem where you're going to have sailing, exploration, you're going to have these islands, or an area where I can go kill, I don't know, basilisks, basilisk knights, or I can go do birdhouse runs on this island and find herbivore on this island. Or what about this island where there's an entire raid and a whole civilization? Do you really need exploration? Do we need exploration for Dagannoth Kings and Vorkarth and Zora even if you want to get real, if you want to clutch at straws? But also just outside of that, exploration, finding new areas, new items, new concepts, they have to compete. If you're going to do something like that, you have to compete with the concept of raiding. And raiding is a lot of fun, raiding is a lot of money, raiding is dare I say it, if we pull up the polls again, so you got the results, okay, view history, PVMing is 76.6%, okay? What activities do you most enjoy in game? PVMing, bossing. And then raiding and endgame content was 43%. So raiding and bossing, okay? 2 outside of skilling, 2 of the questing. Okay, fuck you, questing. Bossing, raiding. You have to compete with these 2. If you want to start making a bunch of islands with a bunch of different content, you're going to have to beat fun and gold per hour that competes with the Gauntlet, competes with God Wars in terms of Iron Man necessities, I guess. Raiding, you're going to have to compete with the Vorkarth and Zora grounds. I personally don't see it working as a skill. As a concept to be great, but as a skill, it's just, I feel like it's an excuse to get something into the game for a skill. It is an excuse to get a skill.
Explore the game in a way that could healthily integrate current skills together, but could also be completely ignored by those that wanted to.
Why would a skill have to compete with non-skills? Well, how would you do exploration? Every concept of exploration has been going to islands and doing skills. And then you get XP based on where you're visiting. Like, you go to an island and there's a new Chinchompa place. Or you can just do your fucking Western Provinces hard diary. Like, how else are you going to level a skill that focuses on exploring? What are you just going to go look for a telescope and that's it? When's the next Thotlog video? There is no Thotlog video. It's not happening. Because fuckface, who I was doing it with, is a fuckface. How about a big dick energy skill? As you level, you get increased run energy and your dick grows per level. Every 10 levels, it enhances your mole slippers with a burst of damage, HP, etc. Were you expecting me to be like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea? How can anyone expect these new islands to stay populated, even enough to be fun? There was a huge new map area that I rarely even see people in. Yeah, it's true. It's not going to happen.
I think that something in this vein is a good way to also add a skills-based task system, similar to Slayer, where instead of going out and killing monsters, maybe your task is to go out and clear-cut the willow logs at Draenor Village, or mine gold under Witchhaven. In the same way that Slayer integrates combat skills, it might be a way to both add a new skill, a new system, and to integrate the current game in a way that is healthy but not mandatory.
Yeah, because that was called artisan, right? Artisan. I just don't personally. I feel like that's kind of a cop out for a new skill.
These are just some spitball ideas I had based on what I've been seeing in the conversation so far. Personally, I don't envy the J-mods. This task is an exceptionally difficult one. I do have good faith in them that they are genuinely doing their best and have the best intentions for the health of the game and the community.
Yep, I agree.
But
I think we can all agree as a community, no matter how arrogant you want to be, I don't think there's a single update JAGEX has done, the old school team has done in the last 10 years where I've gone, I wish they reverted that. I wish that was not in the game. There might be somewhere I wasn't fully happy with it or I didn't really care about, but I don't think there's been a single update where I've gone, this has made the game considerably worse, it needs to be reversed. I don't think that's happened at all.
Keep enough of the community happy with the skill, or rather trying to not piss off a lot of people, is a delicate balance. I think the biggest hurdle to the new skill will be community consensus. I have my doubts that the community will ever come to a genuine consensus. I also hope that the devs are smart enough not to push too hard if the community does not reach a genuine consensus. Because what would be worse? Not having a new skill, or potentially ending up with a dead game?
I don't think it'll
At its
ruin
worst
the game.
outcome, there is the possibility that a new skill will lead us down the path of RS3, and I don't think that this has been earnestly talked about enough. My absolute doomsday scenario would be JAGEX pushing out a half-ready, half-assed skill based on poor game design, just for the sake of adding a skill, or even worse, for the marketing it could bring. So that is top-down pressure from the corporate side of the company. But on the flip side, if a new skill is done well, it has huge potential. It has the potential to bring back old players from burnout or boredom. It has the potential to be a big draw for RS3 players. It also has the ability to be a huge marketable opportunity in a good way, similarly to Group Ironman, that could bring in genuinely new players to RuneScape. Although, as a quick aside, I really hope that JAGEX learned some lessons on how to market from Group Ironman, as I think there were some clear problems with their approach there. The new skill also has an opportunity to set a precedent for the longevity of old school. It could bring in a new golden age that makes the game feel full of life, similarly to when leagues come out, or slipping back on our nostalgia goggles when we woke up to find farm patches or a house portal for the first time. So to summarize, old school is a delicate ecosystem. If we aren't careful with the new skill, we could see ecological collapse. A new skill should strive for old school fit by filling an identified gap in a way that does not fund.
Cody, are you an idiot? Why no horseman at 20% max play speed? I feel like you're saying this to be a fuckwit. What is 20% of 2? You move 2 tiles at a time. What are you going to move 3 tiles every 5 tiles, every 10 tiles? Put your head out of your ass, dude.
Fundamentally change the game, but also offers new interesting content and integrates other aspects of the game in a healthy way, but not a mandatory one, so that it could also be ignored if people just want to play the core game. Personally, I have my doubts, but time will tell and we shall see what comes. Let me know what you think of my points.
I don't have my doubts. I really don't have any or many doubts, because at the end of the day, if the community doesn't decide, the community isn't going to get it. JAGEX, the old school team, are not the sort of devs to say, suck it, and take what they give you like the Tarkov devs are, you know? I wish they were like that in some cases. I think there needs to be an ultimatum at some point, which is basically 2 skills, for example. We'll use inscription and engineering as an example, because those are the 2 we were talking about recently. Let's say, hypothetically, there's a poll, and it's good. These are the 2 skills everyone wants. These are how they're fleshed out. They look great. Which one do you want to see first? Which one do you want to see? And if it succeeds, we'll just go with it. Which one do you want to see first, and we can do both? You know, because they're going to give us betas, and you can go through and try them out and see what you think, and you'll probably go to a beta one where you might be max, or you can decide how you can level it, or you'll get boosted XP rates on that world, so that way you can level through it quickly and see how it is. And then they'll rebalance the XP after, so that it progresses it progresses at a decent rate. And I think it just has to come down to, these are two skills that are successful. Which one do you want? It doesn't have to be you're only getting one. It could just be which one.
Oh, look at that! Not bad. Good choice.
So it could be so if you have two good skills, for example, because we're looking at what if none of them work? What if two of them work? What if three of them work? Okay, that breaks the promise of 75% to 70%. But also it doesn't if two skills are successful and everyone really loves them. Which one do you want to see first? Which one do you like? They can put all their focus into one. And when we're happy with it, it doesn't have to be it needs to be completed, but it doesn't have to be perfect to the point that it's like never make any changes to the skill, because you can always develop it and make more changes, add new ways to level it, new quests that involve it, things like that. So you've got a really strong structured skill here of inscription. Put it in the game. Everyone's beta tested. Everyone's happy with it. What if it goes that way? Because I feel like if people are liking the ideas of new skills, and I think people are really liking the ideas of new skills. I think that a lot of people are worried about it ruining the game, but I think at the same time there hasn't been a lot to worry about. There's been no real negative sign except that 20% combat suggestion. You mean like RS3? No, not like RS3 at all. Love the idea of engineering, since I think you can easily be introduced through the dwarf quest line with an extension of the miscellaneous quest line. I don't think the new skill should be locked behind a quest. I think you should just be able to do it straight up. I think you could build quests off it for sure, but I don't think, unless it was like a very basic introduction skill just to show you how it's done. Like that'd be it. But I think for the most part, I don't really have lack faith in the old school team. I think they've done a good job, and they're not going to put something in the game they're not happy with, let alone the community. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. I think just be open-minded, be honest, and don't try to tell other people what to do. I will, because, well, I'm arrogant and I'm smarter than you, so live with it. But I think if you're just open-minded about skills, and I think it's worth looking at some real popular skills before making a full, decision. I think the old school team's got this. Yeah, I think they make some great content. They've got this. Look at the Phantom Musbar. You're telling me that was bad? Look at the real Wildy rework, the Wilderness rework. Was anyone expecting what they gave us? The Wilderness rework? They didn't leak much information at all. They just said this is what's happening. They're changing the design. That's it. You get in these caves. Look at the Wilderness rework. You're telling me that the old school team doesn't know what they're doing? You're going to lack faith in a team that just does that? Nothing but W's since, I don't know, well before TOA came out. We've been having nothing but W's. There's been delays in production, but that happens. You can't blame them for that. That's how businesses work. But you're telling me that you lack faith in a development team that gave us that Wilderness rework recently? Fuck. I think people need to be more aware of what's going on and how this game's working. This game is not backpedaled much, if at all.
In the comments below, especially if you disagree with me. I'm one of the few people that I think is definitely open to changing my opinion on things. Or if you don't want to disagree or agree with me, consider answering some of the following questions. What do you think about how JAGEX is handling the discussion and the development of a new skill so far?
I think they're handling it well because they're leaving it completely open to interpretation. There shouldn't be a new combat skill, but they're letting you vote on it. They're considering it, they're open to it because they want to hear ideas. I think they're handling it well so far. I think their path is clear. They've explained to us how they want to handle the new skill, how they want to go about it. The projection, the 2020 vision of it is very clear. And I think that flowchart really helps for people who are unsure. But I think so far they're handling it very well.
What do you think is necessary in a good new skill? What do you not?
What do I think is necessary in a good new skill? I think it needs to be fun. I think it needs to be refined well, and I think it needs to not be I think it needs to be simple, but not too simple that it's like, I don't know, what's a current simple skill? Mining. I'm talking simple as in don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be packed full of shit to be good. You don't need to cram it full of endless content for it to succeed. It just needs to be fun, easy to level, easy to understand, and it needs to not interfere with basic game mechanics that can flip the meta or economy on its head to a point of no return. I love engineering chainsaws, mining drills, fishing pump, maybe clockwork. Is that a thing that they had in there? They would collect coins, maybe items for you and give it to you so you wouldn't need to move. That'd be pretty cool. Well, I mean, that people would want a new combat skill. We were playing also. Yeah, but people were just like summoning. So good summoning.
Not want to see come to the game? Or what do you think about how people have been handling the discussion so far?
I think people have been handling it like troglodytes, like donkeys. I think you got some dumbasses out there. You got a couple good takes. I liked Creebus's take, which I uploaded the video of recently, reacting to his video. I think who's this again, old mate? What's his name? Kez TV. A little bit of a big brain going on here. I like this video. But I think anyone suggesting sailing is not thinking about it properly. I don't think Bodhi's video, any videos that spawned off of Bodhi's idea was very well thought out, because it's... and I want this to be clear, this isn't disrespectful to any of these content creators, but your ideas are fucking dumb, and you're not thinking about it properly. Take that that criticism as constructively as you can and will. Shit take. Okay, you need to think about the bigger picture rather than what the skill can provide. You need to think about also what the skill can do and where else it can benefit from being in the game. I think so. Yeah, some ideas have been bad, but some ideas have been good too. Inscription and engineering I both liked. There might be some other good ideas. I haven't looked into them fully. I haven't got my own idea because I can't think that far ahead. I would rather look at ideas and then judge and then like give my own opinion on other people's ideas. I think it's way more beneficial for me, because I don't want to put that much time into a new skill, because I probably won't come up with something as good as what's come up with so far.
Also, if you don't mind and you made it this far, throw this video a like and a subscribe if you're new.
Oh, that is rich. A like and a subscribe at the end of the video after you've given me content? You didn't ask in the first 5 seconds of your video before you gave me any context of the video? Mate, you gotta ask first thing. Yeah, I'll give him a like and sub. He deserves it.
It really helps the channel grow.
It does. He's almost at
and I
1,000.
know that
Once
this is a
he hits
bit
1,000,
different from my
getting
other
adverts.
videos so far,
Which means you can start
but I got a
getting,
spark of inspiration when I saw those
start
polls
getting
being
limited
completed
adverts.
today, so hopefully you still enjoyed the
Yeah,
conversation.
no, I liked it. It's good.
I'm really excited to see what the next phase of
I'm gonna-
JAGEX's plans are for this, and for the future of old school in general. But for now, maybe check out one of my other videos, should be on screen right now. And
I won't do that right now, but I will link your video in the chat here, and I'll also put it in the description when I re-upload this video. That's a koala. Fuck yeah. Yeah, shout out to Kez TV, guys. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a like and a sub for your boy. I will definitely re-upload that, and we can get some more love to him. I think he had a very good video with some very strong takes. And I think he's on the right path to the discussion, at least. You know, can you just give me the client? Yeah, I think JAGEX is handling it well so far, and I think the process is going well so far. Keen to see where it goes in the future. But sailing, bad, skill, good content. You say wrong takes, but all you've done is just be a shit the entire stream today, Cody. So I don't really have any time for you at the moment. I would like to see concept ideas of how the skill tab would look with a 28 skill in it. Well, what they'll do is put a skill tab here. They'll put a new skill here, and then they'll likely not have total level here at all, or it'll be like down the bottom, maybe up the top like it used to be. I think it used to be down the bottom. And then you have your total level here anyway. So I wouldn't stress too much. Just give me something I can 99 in a week and get my max cape back. SMH. Fuck your max cape, dude. No one asked. Anyways, that's the video there. So we will move forward with what we're doing on RuneScape now. Where's my music? This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy.